Let's dive right in. Today, we're unpacking something super fascinating. How exactly do we communicate really critical boundaries to our youngest, most vulnerable learners? In this explainer, we're going to decode a seriously clever childhood safety script called Stay Safe with Sammy. It's a curriculum tailor-made for those high-energy 3 to 6-year-olds. We'll look at how it uses character, repetition, and a whole lot of physical movement to turn complex safety protocols into lessons they actually remember. It's honestly a masterclass in focused communication. So whether you're a parent, a teacher, or just kind of curious about the psychology of learning, there is a ton to take away here. We're introduced right off the bat to Sammy the Mouse, this friendly cartoon guy wearing a tiny, shiny safety helmet. And listen to how he sets the stage with this opening line. He doesn't say, "We're going to learn how not to get hurt." No, he says, "They're going to learn super fun rules to keep our bodies happy and safe." I love this framing. It completely flips the script on how we usually talk about this stuff. Instead of framing safety around fear or anxiety, it turns it into a literal adventure. It empowers kids from day one by making body safety an incredibly positive, joyful experience. To see how this works, we're going to follow Sammy as he visits 3 distinct environments: road safety, playground safety, and finally, stranger safety. Let's start with road safety. Stop, look, and listen. Right away, the script tackles the everyday hazards of the street by drawing a very firm line in the sand. Sammy declares the street is not a play space. Bam! It's a definitive statement. There is absolutely zero gray area here for a preschooler to get confused by. And then it immediately pairs that rule with an actionable measure, the absolute necessity of holding a grown-up's hand when you're anywhere near cars. It is the perfect combo of a clear boundary and a physical safety mechanism. And this next part is genius because, let's face it, trying to tell a 3-year-old to just stand still is practically impossible, right? So they introduce the safety stop dance. Instead of a boring command, Sammy sings a catchy, upbeat tune. Step 1, stop your wiggles and your feet. This gives the kid something physical to actually focus on, controlling those wiggles. Step 2, look to the left, look to the right, then look left again. Step 3, hold a grown-up's hand real tight, now we cross with all our might. It completely translates a critical life-saving protocol into an actionable rhythmic checklist. The script even asks the viewers to physically stomp their feet and yell stop to practice. That is kinesthetic learning at its absolute finest. So physical engagement totally cements the rule on the street. But you might be wondering what happens when we move to a super stimulating environment. What specific rules does Sammy use for things like playground equipment, slides, and swings? Let's take a look. That brings us to playground safety. Play smart. The energy really ramps up here to match the chaotic, colorful vibe of a busy playground. And I want you to notice how it handles the temptation to play dangerously. Sammy doesn't just bark, "Go down feet first." Instead, it uses a mini story. He asks if we go down head first, like a super fast rocket ship, before vigorously shaking his head, "No, no, no." It's so smart. Acknowledging the rocket ship idea validates a kid's imagination and that innate need for speed, but then it immediately redirects that impulse to the right way, always going down the slide feet first. Then it builds into broader spatial awareness with this incredibly catchy, rhyming rule. Feet first on the slide, look out wide. It's short, it's punchy, it's super easy to memorize. But that second half, look out wide, is crucial. Sammy is using this rhyme to teach kids how to map their surroundings. It's specifically there to remind them to check behind the swings before they walk past so they don't get clobbered. It stretches their concept of safety from just their own personal actions to being aware of the actions of everyone around them. Okay, so that's a brilliant strategy for environmental hazards. But what happens if a stranger approaches in the park and offers a treat or, asks for help finding a lost puppy? That requires a totally different approach. And that brings us to stranger safety, the magic check-in. Picture this: Sammy is sitting on a sunny park bench, happily holding an ice cream cone, when an unknown, friendly-looking figure walks up. The script immediately kicks into what it calls the safety 3-step. When that stranger offers a treat, the text flashes brightly, and Sammy models a clear, escalating response protocol. Step 1, stop. Step 2, turn around and run away. Step 3, find your trusted grown-up. What is so genius here is that there's absolutely no negotiation. Kids aren't asked to evaluate if the stranger seems nice. It just provides a definitive 3-step physical reaction. It completely removes the heavy burden of judgment from the child and replaces it with a dead simple action plan. The sequence wraps up with Sammy standing safely next to his trusted adult, waving no thank you with his confident smile. And it leaves the child with one final, incredibly memorable catchphrase: ask first, stay safe. This is just the ultimate empowerment tool. It reinforces this concept of the magic check-in, teaching kids that their absolute first instinct in any unknown situation should always to check with their mom, dad, or teacher. It builds an automatic tether right back to their safety net. Finally, let's talk about the Safety Superstar Badge, the psychological reward. As the confetti falls, Sammy comes back to deliver the ultimate payoff. You learned all our safety rules today. That makes you an official Safety Superstar. And the shiny gold star badge sparkles on screen. The use of positive reinforcement here is just phenomenal. Sammy then asks the viewer to give themselves a giant hug. And, that's not just some cute sign-off. It's a vital psychological tool. By combining a visual reward, that shiny star, with the physical act of self-soothing and self-congratulation through a giant hug, the script deeply cements the child's confidence in what they just learned. It makes them genuinely proud of their boundaries. So we've seen how effectively this script takes critical, life-saving rules and translates them into a language that a 3-year-old can enthusiastically adopt. It trades fear for actionable rhythms, clear stories, and empowering check-ins. I want to leave you with this to chew on. How can you take Sammy's playful, highly structured approach and apply it in your own life? Or use it when you have to communicate complex, maybe even scary boundaries to the kids in your world? When we pair vital information with a fun, engaging structure, learning isn't just efficient, it's empowering. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.